Hey folks, I'm back. So I kind of want to piggyback on my last video, which was about my disappointing lab results. I think that there were a few thoughts that I didn't finish in that video because I never freaking take notes, and so my thoughts are kind of all over the place. One of the things that I wanted to stress in that video was that it's my opinion, which means nothing, that people who want a CGM should be able to get one. And you can do it on the internet, but your healthcare provider should give that to you. I don't care if your blood sugars are the most pristine blood sugars ever on the whole face of the earth. If you want it, you should be able to get it. And I think everyone, every adult, should have an HbA1c test, because that information is so telling about your metabolic health. And even if you think that you're in the normal range, normal doesn't necessarily mean optimal, because I'm in the normal range, but it's absolutely not optimal. My average blood glucose at the time of my HbA1c test was 108, around 108. Anything over 100 is causing damage, from what I've learned. So to me, that tells me that is an explanation of why I'm having problems controlling my blood pressure. Do y'all hear the nervousness in my voice? Okay, side note, I just made my CT, coronary artery scan appointment, and I am fucking terrified. I'm terrified for a bunch of reasons. I'm terrified, one, of going in that little ass tube, even if it's only for a minute, I guess. It's one scan, bzzzt, and you're out. Oh my God. So I have claustrophobia super bad. That's not going to be fun. It's so strange because I can go into a tanning bed, but I have full control. And if I have full control, then it's fine. But if I don't have full control, I'm freaking out. Anyway, like I can't even get into the back seat of a car if I don't have a door that I can get out. Or even like nowadays when you get into a car and the doors automatically lock. Oh, hell no. Bitch, I'm sitting up front. Okay, so I'm terrified of the tube. I am terrified of the test results. And now that I've made my appointment, I have to go to Madison. I hate driving. And a lot of people don't consider Madison a big city, but it is big as hell to me. So I'm gonna have to find somebody to take me. And they were like super accommodating and wanted to make my appointment whenever I needed it. I'm gonna need some buffer time to get ready for this. Anyway, I did it. I made my appointment. I will share my results with you when I'm done. And did I already say that? That's another thing I'm terrified of, is the results. So, and I'm scared of those results because of what I saw happen to my mom eating the standard American diet. Now, just because I've turned my diet around in the last 5 years, 4.5 years, doesn't mean there wasn't significant damage for the first 5.5 decades. So I'm scared about that. Really scared. You guys, my mom was so sick. She had 100% blockage in one carotid artery, 80% in another. Both of her trunk arteries going down to her legs were 100% blocked. So yeah, I'm scared. I mean, physically I don't look like her as far as weight goes and whatnot. And I told you that she had a stroke at 60, and I'm gonna be 60, so I'm scared, but I'm going to do it. And hopefully I'm catching this young enough, like I'm not young. Hopefully I'm catching it young enough that if there is a problem, I can turn it around. Okay, let's get our shit together here. Whew, okay, let's just check our blood glucose for fun. And a sidetrack, 91. Okay, this is better. So I'm sorry if you can hear my washing machine going, but y'all, I need some draws. I am out. When I first installed the CGM a couple of weeks ago, I'm on my second one now, so I've got a solid 14 days in, 15 now. My blood glucose at any given time was over 100, which correlates to my HbA1c score of 5.4, which is normal but not optimal. So now I'm living more in the 90s, and I'm cool with that for now. I'm on the right trend, I should say, because I'm not cool with that. That's not where I want to be. I want to live in the 70s and 80s. Not for real, because no. But I want to live glucose-wise in the 70s and 80s and get my A1C down to 4 point something. 4.5 would be great. If I could get it lower than that, that's even better. I just have a feeling that that's going to be, well, I don't have a feeling. That's going to be the most optimal place for me to live. Okay, so let's get on with the show after that little breakdown. Sorry about that. I struggle with knowing how both of my parents suffered from eating the standard American diet and died slow, miserable deaths in nursing homes. My mom had a toe amputated. She was never diagnosed as a diabetic, but she for sure was. And I was headed right down that path. My dad had a severe wheat allergy, and that's all they feed you in the nursing homes is processed food. So his gut was just messed up. So I'm just very passionate about this, and I don't want to go down that road. I want to live in my own home until I'm 100 years old and in kick-ass health, and then I go to sleep and I expire. And hopefully my cats don't eat me after I die. The title of this video is Actual Keto because that is what I'm doing right now. And I love it. It's great. It really is. I always said that I did keto just because it was so much easier to explain to people that I ate low carb, high fat, no sugar, no grains, whatever. So I'm doing actual keto now. I am officially in ketosis. I checked my blood ketones this morning and they were 2.0. Yay me. I got P strips, as Dr.Boz calls them, so you can check your ketones. And I had those before when I went low carb and said I was doing keto and never saw any results. Well, this time, because I'm actually eating low carb and I'm actually paying attention to keeping my carbs 20 or under, I am officially in ketosis. It shows up on the urine strips and it shows up in my ketone meter, which I'll share what meter I got because it's cool because it does glucose, ketones, and cholesterol. Very cool. You can get a discount code, not for me because I'm nobody, but you can go, if you are interested in it, you can go to Dr.Boz, her YouTube channel, or her website. I'll figure it out. I'll put it in the show notes, but you can click that link and then get a certain amount off. So I think I got that. I got the device and all the strips, the testing solutions, all the things, a Lancet, which I didn't need, but whatever. You get all the things that you need, and I think it was like $150, and because it was over 50, you got free shipping, so I think that's great. Okay, so the reason that I'm going actual keto, for those who don't know, is my blood pressure started going up again after reducing all my blood pressure medications when I first went low carb, high fat. Here's what's up. I was getting off track. I got lazy. I did not document my food. I don't know that you have to do that, but it's helpful to me. I was not documenting my food. My eating window got bigger and bigger and bigger because I thought, I'm eating good food. I'm eating, these are all healthy, because I was still eating all the healthy foods, but I was eating all the healthy foods. And I also got a little off track with some keto snacks and junk like that. And that stuff is highly processed, and that's going to inflame a person and spike their blood glucose, obviously, at least in this person. I suppose everybody's different. Everybody can metabolize sugar differently, but I have a family history of diabetes. My grandma had it, and my mom was undiagnosed, and for a while I was undiagnosed. So, I was, I started eating too many carbs, even if they were good carbs, even if they were vegetables and whatnot, and those carbs triggered cravings for salty, crunchy things. And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, I'm doing so good in the rest of my life in my eating style, it's not going to hurt me to eat a couple of potato chips. First of all, there's no such thing in my world as a couple of potato chips. So I was tearing up the chips often. And when I say often, here daily. So there's that. Even though, and I thought I was buffering them with dip, a fatty dip. So I told myself all kinds of stories to make it okay, like a true addict. In looking back and now being actual keto, I can see clearly all of the things that I was doing wrong. So my eating window was way too long. I was eating way late into the night, because that's my favorite time to eat, though. And by eat, at that time, it's munchies in front of the TV. It's popcorn, it's chips. It's even good stuff like, veggies and dip. Or even bacon. It was just too long of an eating window, too damn much food, and not the best choices of food. Okay, so that's how I went awry. That's where my blood pressure started creeping up again. So now where I am is I've tightened up my eating window. I don't eat past 7 o'clock at night, and earlier if possible. And holy cow, you guys, that has impacted my sleep so good. Oh, deep, deep restorative sleep. So good. And falling asleep a lot easier too. Like last night, I ate a little bit late because I golfed in the evening, and when I got home, I was hungry, and I had eaten a meal at 2, but I was hungry, so I probably should have just fasted, but I didn't. So I ate a bunch of cheese curds and, my charcuterie board favorite kind of dinner. So I had cheese curds, salami, a couple of olives, some pickles. And then I ended that thinking that it might not affect my blood sugar too much, is a Breyer's Carb Smart Fudgesicle, which is 2 net carbs. Well, that I still had a blood sugar response from that. So I don't know. It wasn't a big response, but it's still a response, and I'm still not in the range where I want to be. So if I was in the 70s and 80s all the time, and then I had a Breyer's Carb Smart ice cream bar or a Fudgesicle, which are amazing, then I don't think that's a big deal. But for somebody who's already hovering around the 100s, I don't want to go any higher than that. So that's what's so great about this, is because I can check that in real time. And then if I think this is weird, then I check my blood glucose and just kind of see where I'm at. I just have to be very careful with that stuff. I went through all of my former health assessments, all of my prior health assessments through work, and put all of the measurements into a chart, because, well, one, I'm a data geek like that, and I want to see what's up. I can share with you. You can see the green line that makes a distinction between the standard American diet that I ate and the low carb diet that I ate. And you can see Now my total cholesterol, I thought my total cholesterol was way better when I ate the standard American diet, and it was slightly better total cholesterol. But if you break down the good cholesterol versus the bad cholesterol, you can see that by eliminating the standard American diet and going to low carb really did wonders for my cholesterol. Okay, my total cholesterol is still high. There's no scientific data that says that that's a bad thing, especially when your numbers look like this. So I am not concerned about total cholesterol at all. What I'm concerned about is my blood pressure and getting that down. So back to what I'm doing this time. I've tightened up my eating window. I only eat from 1 to 7. And if I can make that smaller, like from 2 to 6, even better. Okay? So I'm doing that. I have not had a potato chip in weeks. Let me see how long it's actually been. So this is the thing. I'm not going to show you all my personal business, but this is one of these happy planner things I use to track what I eat, to track my numbers, and I've been doing that. Well, I used to track what I eat, and then I quit, obviously, because then I went awry. But since I went to the doctor and realized that I am back into a situation that I need to take care of, I started tracking all my info again. So what was I going to do? I was going to look up when the last time I had a chip, which was right when I got my continuous glucose monitor. So it's been 2 weeks. I guess I don't really need to look that up. So it was at the end of June. So yay for me. Okay? 2 weeks, no chips. 2.5 weeks. As a chip replacement, bacon chips, cut them up, fry them in a high-sided pan like Dr. Berry and Nisha do. And I made a cream cheese dip with homegrown chives, cream cheese and sour cream. And I would eat that as a meal. Because I like to eat a larger meal for my first meal, my breaking my fast breakfast. I like to eat a larger meal then, because it's in midday, like an official old person, boom. And then later, around 5 or 6, if I get hungry, then I would do the kind of munchies thing where I would do, you know, the bacon chips and dip, or a charcuterie plate, or whatever. So it took me about 3 or 4 days to get any kind of ketones reading on the pee strips, which I was okay with. It makes me wonder, because I was already kind of low carb, if that went faster for me than it does for other people. I don't know. I got my blood ketone monitor last week. I put off using the blood ketone monitor because when you read the directions, it looks super complicated, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like, I don't want to do all the steps to start it, calibrate it, test it, and then test me. I was like, oh, it's not that hard. Oh my God. I should do a little video on that, because I looked for a video on how to do this particular model and I didn't see one. So I should maybe do that, because I only set it up for my ketones. I didn't set up the glucose because I already have a glucose meter, and I did not set it up for the total cholesterol. Those strips are expensive, y'all. So I won't be doing those willy-nilly. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm doing official, actual keto, keeping my carbs under 20 grams. I'm in ketosis. I'm doing good there. I went back to the gym. Sure did. And I think that's very helpful in my blood pressure. And it's also very helpful in burning off all this extra sugar that I've stored that I didn't realize I was storing. So when I exercise, my glucose level goes way up, which I was not expecting, and it kind of freaked me out. I was like, what is happening here? So that's just how far off track I got. So I have a bunch of stored energy in me. I wasn't gaining any weight. I didn't gain weight. That was cool, but I was starting to store glucose, and that's not cool. We don't want that. So back to the gym. If I don't go to the gym, I walk, run in my neighborhood. If I don't do that, I get out on my bike and I bike our trails. If I don't do that, then I'm doing stretching and yoga or walking at golf. So I'm trying to do some form of moderately vigorous activity every single day. I'm not going to rely on just my garden yoga and the heavy things that I'm lifting around the house, because I'm busy all day long. Don't think for 1 second that I'm just sitting around, because I'm not. I have to make myself sit down. So I'm incorporating more cardio and more strength training. When I go to the gym, I am on the treadmill, which I walk run on that, just like I would do around my neighborhood. And then I also do a strength training, and I'm trying harder now to go to failure instead of staying comfortable. So I think that my glucose stores, particularly in my liver, I guess, I don't know, how do you know, have way more glucose than I thought. Then also, when you work out and I'm, doing resistance stuff like weights, I think that activates cortisol in your body, which can then also raise your glucose. So but still, I don't think that it should go as high as it was going, because like when I was running around my neighborhood, it spiked to 157, and that was in a fasted state. So that freaked me out. So I need to learn more about that, but I just wanted to kind of share my experience. I wonder if you can hear my stomach growling in the mic. A couple of other times. Wait, was that 157 was watermelon? No, 157 was running once. Yeah. So there's 2 times where my blood glucose, according to my CGM, went up to 157. I guess I shouldn't call it blood glucose. My CGM recorded 157 2 or 3 times. I know 2 of the times were from eating watermelon at the beginning of wearing that monitor. And then I saw what it did to me, and I got rid of the watermelon, because I don't need that shit. Anything over 100, doing damage, can't have it. Which makes me concerned about exercise, because when I do exercise, then my glucose rises and sometimes spikes. Well, one time it spiked up to 150-ish something, and that was when I was running. So I'm guessing that was, I know your body releases glucose for energy, but I don't really understand why it went so high, especially in a fasted state. So it has to be stored glucose, and then it could be a cortisol also response, is what I'm trying to say. That's my experience. I don't really know how to define that or what it is, but hopefully as I continue this journey of eating low carb, I can bring all of my baseline levels down to the 70s and 80s, and then if it does rise when I exercise, it will still stay under 100, or not even rise at all, or rise a teeny tiny bit. I don't know. But slowly but surely, I am bringing my glucose levels down, which is great, because the cool thing about the CGM is that you can connect it to your computer and go to the Libra website and create a report not from this, but from this. And that is fascinating. I love it so much. So I can share with you what those reports look like. I think they're super fascinating, and you can share them with your healthcare provider. It showed it showed some low glucose numbers while I was sleeping. I don't necessarily believe that they were as low as the CGM reports, because if I ever get a low reading from the CGM, I will double check my blood pressure, or high. I'll double check my blood glucose with a finger stick, and it's usually quite different. So in eating actual keto, I've noticed some changes. No cravings for chips, no cravings for sweets, which shocks me because I love both of those. No, I'm bored, I feel like eating kind of things, which is, I don't really get bored, but I do eat for entertainment. Okay? So those cravings were gone, and I'm like, wow, this is so great. Keto is just the best. Like actual keto is the best. It really is for me now. I'm having really good energy. No need for an afternoon nap. Like when I first started actual keto, I feel so stupid saying actual keto because, but it's true. When I first started doing the actual keto thing, I didn't have to take a nap, but if I laid down, I would, give myself a break or meditate or even just watch a couple of YouTube videos, I would fall asleep. And now I don't even sit down. I don't even take a break. And I should meditate, but I'm not. So put that on my list, my to-do list. One thing that I love about actual keto is that it's the only way of eating, or if you want to call it a diet, that is measurable. You can't measure anything but weight on other programs like Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, whatever. But with keto, you can measure it. And then it still shows up on the scale. But you can measure it with urine strips, which you can get at Walgreens. You don't need to go anyplace fancy. They got them over in the diabetic area. Ketone strips. You can, I think you can order the blood testing device that I ordered, which I put in the show notes, that tests ketones, blood glucose, or cholesterol. Note to everybody doing it, it's not one strip and you test the blood and you get all the results. It's 3 different strips. So you got to be able to get that amount of blood. I don't do all 3 at the same time. Sometimes if I can get a decent amount of blood out of my fingertip, I'll do both of them. I'll do 2, like glucose and or ketones, but it's not just one drop does it all, which is a bummer. But it's still very cool that you can have one device to do all the things. So what I've noticed is that as my total glucose is coming down and into a more optimal range, my blood pressure is coming down. This is all intimately connected, and it's not just blood pressure. It's every single chronic disease that you can imagine is all directly related to your glucose levels, because that in turn triggers insulin, and having chronically high insulin and chronically high glucose are not good things, highly inflammatory, highly damaging. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep on saying it, people, because there's so many people out there that are like, that could potentially be thinking, well, my blood pressure's fine, so it's not an issue for me. Or I'm not overweight, so it's not an issue for me. Or I don't have heart disease in my family, it's not an issue for me. Or I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I don't have this. There's only 12% of the population that is metabolically healthy. 12%. So if you're one of that 12%, I am good for you. Yay. But for the rest of us who think that they might be in that 12%, you might want to, I'm not judging. I'm not trying to judge anybody. Really, honestly, all I care about is 1, getting the message out to people, and 2, getting this straight. Just let me get this straight. Because again, I want to live to be 100 and then go peacefully in my sleep and let my cats eat me. Water. Man, I got so much shit for drinking Diet Coke in my last video. Come on, man. I'm not trying to be perfect. I don't think it's that big of a deal to have a Diet Coke or a diet soda every now and then. I've said it before. I probably have 2 a week. So just calm down on that. What else did I get shit for? Well, most of the comments in my last video, one, holy shit on the views. I've got thousands of views. What? But most of the comments were super kind and actually super helpful. One person, well, I don't know if he was trying to be kind or whatever. He told me that I was learning at a high school level when I needed to learn at a PhD level, and then told me to check out, you gonna come up here and visit? Told me to check out someone named Glucose Goddess, which sounds very high school to me, but she's not. She's a PhD. So I did check her out, and I learned a lot of stuff. So that was cool. How about no fur right now? Oh man, white, black cat, fur. Oh, you can see him too. Oh, you got stuff stuck to you, man. Okay, back to the show here. So, a lot of super helpful comments. Another viewer said that either her or her husband's CGM is kind of wacky the first 24 hours too, and that's been my experience for sure the first time around, but that could have been the wacky shit that was going on in my body. Excuse me, sir. Go lay down. So anyway, lots of really good comments, lots of support, and then a couple of, assholes, whatever. But you know what? The asshole comments help boost me up in the algorithm anyway, so carry on. Sir, another person that I have been binging on is fur. Is Dr. Philip Ovadia. I'm almost done with it. I just got it and I only have a teeny little bit left. I love him. I'm going to link in the show notes a conversation between Dr. Ovadia and Dr. Berry. Those two do not pull any punches when it comes to big food and big pharma and a shitty medical system that we have. I highly recommend watching that or listening to it. You don't have to watch it. I don't think they show a whole lot of graphs. Maybe they do. Well, they show a couple, but whatever. Listen to it. I've listened to it twice already. It's so good. But this is Stay Off My Operating Table, and he himself, just like Dr. Berry, they're physicians. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon. So I feel like if he's telling us to eat meat and animal products, we're good. And he's walking the walk himself. He's not telling us to do one thing and then doing something else himself. He himself lost over 100 pounds. Dr. Berry lost a ton of weight too. I don't know exactly how much. That doesn't matter. They both reversed their health on their own. They had to figure it out on their own. They're both pissed off because they had to figure it out on their own. I had to figure it out on my own. It's not taught in medical schools. They kind of get into that and why. So it's fascinating. So check that out. Yes, sir. Oh, you're the handsomest failures in the whole world. You're the handsome boy. Anything in here that I want to talk about? Oh, I got a lot of highlighted. Oh. So for my thin people who think that, well, I'm thin and I still got a situation. So there's that. Am I thin? I don't know if I'm thin. Slim? Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm thin. Slim compared to the average person. Slim. Yeah, we'll go with that. So they talk about, Dr. Ovadia talks about TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. TOFI individuals suffer from many of the same health issues as a person who struggles with obesity. They have poor metabolic health. It's just not obvious. That's a big yawn, sir. Oh, let's for fun just check out where we're at. 90. That's okay. Getting better. Used to always be 100. Just a couple more things. One thing that I learned about glucose and how it is directly related to blood pressure and why medical people don't talk about this, I don't know. Do they not know? Because if so, that's messed up. Is that for every one glucose molecule, that molecule attracts bunches and bunches of water molecules, which is why our blood volume is huge and which is why our blood pressure is high. Duh. So that beautifully explains why when I see my blood glucose going down, my blood pressure is going down also. Could that be because of the medication? Yep, that could help it. Could it be doing nothing? Maybe. I won't know that until I can get consistently good blood glucose readings in the 70s and 80s, and then I will attempt to back off on my blood pressure medication and see what happens. So stay tuned for that. So what does keto look like for me? I am not trying to pretend like I'm perfect. I am not trying to pretend like I eat an immaculately proper human diet. I don't. I enjoy things that are not that great for you. Alcohol, we've talked about that before. Diet Coke, calm down. Crystal Light, not that great for you. A lot of artificial shit in those. I understand that. But I'm not consuming that stuff every day. So give me that for a while. If I get to a place where I am eating pristine, I literally don't see that happening, but so be it. But I'm human and I want to enjoy my life. I find eating keto the way that I do extremely enjoyable. I am not suffering at all. I am not missing anything now that I've gotten over that first transition into actual keto. I think if you're coming from the standard American diet and you're going to go straight into keto or ketovore or carnivore, I think that shit's going to be really hard. Really hard. Like, respect if you do that. I didn't have to do that. I went low carb. I actually, quit wheat first, then sugar and grains, then just went low carb, high fat, and now 4.5 years later, I'm going actual keto. So it was not a huge deal for me. There's a little bit of cravings the first day or two into this journey, the keto journey, but now no cravings whatsoever. But when I got off track and was eating still essentially real whole foods, I mean, technically a chip is just potatoes fried in shitty oil with salt. Eating that kind of stuff, because there's no nutrients in it, and the keto snacks that I was trying, eating that stuff, even though it's keto or a real whole food, because it doesn't deliver any nutrients to your body continues to crave more food. And it may even crave the same shitty food. Or maybe I just couldn't decipher between being hungry, craving actual nutrients, whatever. So that was the problem. But I'm telling you now that I'm eating actual nutrient-dense food, there's no more cravings. I don't finish a meal and think, man, I wish I had something sweet. Or man, later on, ooh, I wish I want some salty crunchy. The cravings are just gone, which I am so grateful for. It's freeing. And I remember this feeling when I first went low carb. I remember feeling free from food. And it just crept back so slowly as I got lazy with paying attention to what I was eating that I didn't even notice it. And then I didn't even really notice that I wasn't feeling as good as I did before. Did I feel good? Yeah. But was I feeling as good as I do now in actual ketosis? No. So this is great. So what does keto look like for me? Now, I'm not going to right now do a what I eat in a day video. I don't know if anybody would even be interested in that. But I'm going to work backwards just in my journal because I'm tracking what foods do to my blood glucose via the CGM. Let's just work backwards and tell you what I've eaten the last few days. What did I just eat for lunch? I took a break and I ate for lunch bacon, and I don't weigh or measure anything that is inherently low carb, like meat. So I don't weigh or measure that. I did measure last week what a single serving of peanuts would be, just so that I would know, because I like peanuts. And I don't eat them all the time, but if I want, I feel like a peanut is a better alternative than some chips, where I can't stop with the chips. I can eat a serving of peanuts and be satisfied. So I measured that, but for the most part, I don't really measure anything unless there's some question about what that actually looks like. But when it comes to real whole foods, high fat, meat-based things, I don't measure that. And I just try not to really overload on the veggie carb side of things and eat those with a fatty dip that I made myself so that I know what's in it. Okay, so what did I have for lunch today? I cut up bacon, Dr. Berry style, and fried it in a high-sided pan, so I have bacon chips with a homemade dip, which is sour cream, cream cheese, and chives. I put a little salt in there. And then I had 4 deviled eggs because I wanted to kill them off. And right now I am very full, not uncomfortable, but I'm very full and I'm very satisfied. Oh, and I also made peanut butter fluff, which is to die for. What I like about it is that it's so satisfying that it doesn't leave you craving more, and it doesn't keep you wanting to eat more and more and more and more. You eat a couple of bites and you're like, damn, that's good, and you put it away. Well, at least that's how it works for me. So that's what I had for lunch today. Now, that's it. I'm not saying that I'm not going to eat for the whole rest of the day. I will. I'll have something later on. I'll have something probably around 5 or 6. It'll probably be some cheese curds, maybe a couple of pickles, maybe some more bacon chips and dip. But it won't be as much as I ate today. This is going to last me. That's just going to be a little bit later on today, and then I'll quit eating by 6, hopefully, or 7 at the latest, and then that's it for the day, and then I should sleep like a freaking baby tonight. So I like to cook larger portions of food so that I can eat on them a couple of days and then not have to cook all the time. A lot of people don't like leftovers. I'm not one of them. So the last 2 days I had buffalo chicken, which was so damn good, with chicken thighs. No celery, only because my celery was rotten. No celery, no potato, no nothing. It was just the buffalo chicken. And then my little cucumbers are starting to come in from my garden, so I ate a cucumber each day with each meal. I had the peanut butter fluff, and then later in the day, like I said, cheese, sausage, olives, and 2 days in a row I had one of those Breyer's Carb Smart Fudgesicles, which are amazing, but they do, I believe, raise my blood glucose. And let's see, last week there's I had half a wrap in an Egg Life wrap, so there was ham, cheese, a little bit of lettuce, mayo, that's it. Pork rinds and chip dip. I finally found a pork rind that I don't hate. It's the 4505 brand, 4505. One of my viewers said the UTZ brand is really good. I don't see that. I haven't found it here in town yet. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for it, but the 4505 is really good. Of course, it's expensive as hell, but it's really good, and it's just, you know, pork skin fried in pork fat. So, and they're ethically and humanely raised and processed. I'm all about that. I had a Diet Coke that day. I had a leftover brat. And then later on that day, I had the other half of my wrap. And that night, Friday, I had popcorn and some vodka lemonades after I golfed where I walked. And by walked, I mean walked the golf course. Yeah, so Friday morning is where I went on a walk run around my neighborhood, and my CGM registered 157. Really take shitty notes because I really should have checked my actual blood glucose to see where it was in relation to that. Day before that, 3 eggs scrambled with one of my homegrown jalapenos in there, lots of ham, sour cream on top, and a handful of cherry tomatoes diced up on top of that. It was delicious. And then later on, I had leftover brats, guacamole. So jalapeno and cheddar brats dipped in guacamole. Y'all, that is the shit. Ooh, that was good. I had some cheese fries. There's nothing on them. They're just cheese, but they're shaped like a fry. But when I cook them, they say they hold their shape, but that's a lie. But they're really good. And for this day, I have in my notes that my blood pressure sucked-ish all day except for after my workout. After my workout, my blood pressure is great. Like not immediately after, but you know, like an hour later, super great. So I guess I need to work out all the time. Brats and onions, cukes, green pepper and dip, bacon and dip. I had some Tito's and lemonade on Wednesday. Stopped eating by 7. Ham and cheese wrap with veggies and dip. And when I'm eating veggies and dip now, it's very little veggies and a healthy amount of dip. It's not like a massive amount of, like before I would eat just like all the veggies and all the dip because I love crunchy things. Ooh, one day on Monday I tried Dr. Boz recommends sardines, onions, and mustard. So I'm like, well, I'm going to try it because I'm trying to get into ketosis and I feel like that is going to really get me there. And so I ate that and it's not bad. I don't know why sardines have such a bad rap. It's literally just, it tastes very similar to tuna. So what's the big deal? But it was good. Did I have any since? No. But I keep some sardines in my pantry now just in case. If I don't have anything planned for a meal and I need something quick, boom. Cottage cheese, pickles. That's it for that day. So those sardines, because they're so nutrient dense, they fill you up, and I had them packed in oil, so there's fat in there too. That it kind of lasts you all day. But I don't go hungry. Like my stomach will growl in the morning, like when it's, like in the earlier part of this video, it will growl, but it doesn't feel like hungry. It just feels like finally my stomach is actually empty. Let's see, 2 eggs, sour cream and chives and tomatoes with some leftover salmon from the night before, a couple of brats and onions with a little bit of veg and dill dip, homemade dill dip. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm eating. I'm not working on any big keto recipes. It's summer. I just want to be outside doing stuff, playing golf, riding my bike, working in the garden, sitting on my deck, drinking cocktails with my friends, all the fun things that summer's all about. So I'll get back more into the cooking thing in the fall. Because in the fall and winter, that's when I like to be in the kitchen. But in the summer, nope. So those are the things that I'm eating. Those are the things that have me in ketosis. Those are the things that have my blood glucose lower and nice and level. So I feel like I'm going in the right direction. But one thing I kind of wanted to add, when people think that what they eat doesn't impact their life, this was kind of an aha moment for me. If you're taking a medication and that medication goes into your mouth, through your digestive system, and out into your bloodstream, what makes you think that the same exact thing isn't happening with the food that you eat? It's the same system, doing the same thing. The medication, whatever medication that is, whether it's big pharma stuff or supplements or whatever, if you ingest it into your mouth, it gets into your bloodstream, goes into your stomach, it gets broken down, digested all through your digestive system, and goes out into your bloodstream. How can anyone think that food does not impact you exactly the same? Particularly when I'm saying anyone, I mean the medical system. Because there's been times where I've heard, like literally to my face, where a doctor has said, yeah, it doesn't matter what you eat. I'm going to call big time bullshit on that. He's retired, so he's not perpetrating that bullshit anymore. But that's just something to think about, because that was an aha moment for me. To think of it like that whatever it is that you put, whether it's a drink, medicine, food, good or bad, it all goes through your system, and it's either going to help you or harm you. Okay. This video is long enough. If you stuck around to the end, thank you very much. And with that, let food be thy medicine, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.